With threats to our nation waiting around every corner, adaptability is more important than ever. When conditions change without notice, quick strategic thinking is crucial. And with obstacles consistently impending, determination is essential in overcoming them. It's this willingness, decisiveness, and resilience that sets Marines apart. With our fighting spirit, we don't just fight battles, we win them. Marines are the constant our nation counts on to fight the unknown. And through adaptable problem solving, we do just that. Learn more at marines.com.
Welcome to the Sportsman's Voice Roundup, your weekly look at conservation and sporting community news happening across the nation and on the Hill. Thanks for tuning in. This is the TSV Roundup. Welcome in, everybody, to this week's edition of the Sportsman's Voice Roundup for the week of May 20th, 2024. Our lead article this week, Congressional Fishing Tournament highlights fisheries conservation through a friendly competition. Our guest, Fisheries Director of Policy, Chris Horton, joins us here in a moment. Going around the country, CWD in California, that's not good. New Hampshire House Bill 1186 awaits the governor's signature. We've discussed that bill in the past. That is a proactive piece of legislation to protect New Hampshire sportsmen and women against merchant coding. More on that to come. CSC annual Congressional Clays competition. We got a recap of that. Land ownership in North Carolina and Illinois, a bill to ban hunting contests is revived after missing legislative deadline. So all that and more, but let's get to this week's lead article. Welcome in Mr. Chris Horton once again. Chris, thanks so much. How was the fishing?
Hey, Brad, it's great to be back with you. Well, the fishing wasn't so hot after all. I mean, it was pretty tough, but at the end of the day, this event is way more than catching fish. But this event, more than others in the past, truly was a fishing event and not a catching event.
The reports are true, but that's the cliche. That's why it's called fishing, not catching, right?
That's true. We had 78 total anglers on 9 different charter boats, and we landed and released 8 fish total.
Okay.
So it was a really tough day, and of course we were out on professional charters, and these guys do this every day. These guys and gals do this every day for a living, and they said that the fishing it's one of those things where you should have been here yesterday because the fishing has been really good up until like 2 days ago, and then fish move somewhere and they haven't been able to find them yet.
I feel like turkey hunting. When someone comes up here the day before, I go scout them for them. Like, yeah, they're on fire. As soon as someone puts herself with me, all of a sudden there's nothing going on. Like, should have been here yesterday. I get it.
Right.
Of the fish that were boated, what species? Was it a mixed bag, or were you guys targeting certain species there?
No, we were just targeting primarily striped bass.
Okay.
I mean, there was another category, but striped bass was all that was landed yesterday. So. And given the techniques that they were using, a lot of folks were trolling, and then others were fishing with what are called spots, which are in the croaker family, which is a popular bait on the bay. A few captains were using those, and so they were live lining and trolling, which is all the things that most people do this time of year. But again, fishing was just tough yesterday.
Yeah, happens.
But that's But again, this event's way more about the opportunity to get together, have some friendly competition, but really just building relationships. And we've had events in the past like the Congressional Clays competition, and then this August we will have a staff Clays competition, which is primarily directed at staff. And really, this fishing event started. Well, this was the 5th annual. Started 6 years ago. We had to miss the COVID year, but the purpose of it was to provide staff primarily, although we have had members of Congress join us many times in the past. Primary goal is to have staff, give them the opportunity to get out and go fishing. And oftentimes, some of them have never gone fishing before. So it's just another opportunity to expose our friends on the Hill to hunting and fishing and why it's a passion that so many Americans share.
One of the highlights of your write-up here, details, there's more than 30 million anglers in the United States alone, and they contribute more than $413 million in conservation funding last year alone. That's a pretty big number.
Right. It is, and that number is actually from the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, and it's low because those are primarily registered or licensed buying public. So most states, if you're under the age of 15 or 16 or over the age of 65, you don't even have to buy a license. Oftentimes those don't capture that segment of the fishing populations. We know the number is bigger than that, but yeah, 30 million Americans spend a lot of money on fishing and have a tremendous economic impact.
Yeah, so it's important, having this, albeit a friendly competition, to have that opportunity, especially a captive audience out there on the water on a boat, to just have those conversations and drive that home, especially for the people that have, never done it or have any idea how this system works.
Right. And it's also an opportunity for us to talk about, the challenges and opportunities that we have for fisheries management, fisheries conservation, water quality, aquatic resource conservation. It's just an opportunity to talk about all the things that impact us, impact the bay, but also impacts our watersheds around the country. And one of the things from the very beginning that we did with this tournament is we made it a catch and release tournament. And we made it a catch and release tournament. We used what's called the iAngler tournament app, which is an electronic reporting app. And it really, we wanted to demonstrate that everybody that has smartphones has the power to be able to report important data that fisheries managers can use someday in the future. We haven't quite figured out, or they haven't really, fisheries management bodies, especially the National Marine Fisheries Service, hasn't embraced electronic reporting for the recreation sector yet. We're certainly pushing hard in that direction. We realize there's some challenge. I mean, I'm a fisheries biologist. I understand statistics, although I would hate for anybody to ask me to do a non-parametric analysis again, because it's been so long since I had to do that. But I do understand that there's challenges in validating the data. But I think there are certainly opportunities to use this technology to be able to improve our understanding of angler catch rates as well as release rates, and how that factors into to fisheries management, and have it much more real time than the traditional surveys that are going. I think the future is bright in that regard, and we will be able to be a lot more nimble and better manage our fisheries based on what's going on today. Waiting for data, compiling it from months or even years ago, and trying to project how many fish we can catch in the future. If we knew how many fish we were catching right now, potentially have longer seasons and better handle on what's going on with the harvest.
It's an interesting line of thought, and I never considered until this very moment you saying it. And on the hunting side, we check everything. I mean, pretty much, except for maybe small game. You're not really reporting on some of that, but it is interesting that for some of the bigger game species, especially in the salt, where we're worried about striped bass populations and all that, and then the season adjusts, you get your slot limits, but I've never had to fill out a survey here between Maine and Massachusetts waters. I've never been asked. I've never been checked. Like, how do they know what we're catching? And especially with such a popular species, on the East Coast, and maybe that's indicative of the bad day you guys had on the water. Is the challenges? At least that's the excuse I'd use with that particular fishery. Is that's viable. Of course, it's viable. It's valuable information to be able to provide back to the agencies and the managing bodies of these migratory species to know, like, we're you report ducks on a hip survey, you report your deer, your bear, turkeys, all that. It just makes perfect sense to report on some of that.
Oh, it absolutely does. And there's really a difference between freshwater salt when it comes to being able to estimate angler catch. When it comes freshwater side, typically there's no commercial component, so it's just freshwater, or just freshwater anglers recreationally fishing, and some species are heavily harvested, and other species are primarily catch and release. Largemouth bass. I mean, smallmouth bass, most people release 25 on average nationwide. Bass fishermen release their catch. So, but then you have walleye or crappie fishermen like to take those fish home and eat them, which is fine. That's that's why we have bag and creel limits to make sure we're not hurting the resource. But anybody who wants to fish and take fish on them, that's why we manage the view. And to get it on the freshwater side, to manage those fisheries, those natural resource agencies are sampling the actual population on a really frequent basis because they're relatively small water. So they know kind of what's going on, and you'll see populations fluctuate. But we're not trying to manage to a maximum number of fish that we can remove from the population and still be safe. We just monitor the populations as long as it's healthy. Then what we have our bags, a minimum length limits or harvest restrictions set at, and our season lengths must be doing fine. So we just monitor the population, and then if there is a problem, and we can't explain it by environmental variables, then we'll go in and do a really intensive creel survey where we have creel clerks at boat ramps or fishing access points that are, just surveying anglers, what they're catching, what they're releasing. And then we can take a look, all right, is the change in the population actually as a result of too much fishing pressure? Is the slot limit not right? Is the bag limit too high? And then the agency. On the marine fisheries side, it's a little different in that we have a federal survey that goes year-round, covers all species up and down the coast. And it's not a bad survey at all for what it was designed to do, but that's just to monitor trends over time. And it doesn't do really good for seasons like red snapper in the South Atlantic, for instance, 2 days. I mean, that's a very short event fishery. This federal survey takes 2 months to complete a wave, and then they take that information from that 2-month wave, and then it takes them 30 to 45 days to process that information. Reliable estimate. So you've had it takes over 3 months
Real
to get an
time
estimate. And what's going on? And federal fisheries management relies almost exclusively on this harvest information from both the recreation and the commercial side. So it takes all this harvest over time from back when we started recording data on harvest, and that's called a time series, and they just feed this newest information in the time series, and then they try to project how many fish we have in the population based on what we had in the past, but just very little of that real-time sampling of what's going on in the water actually sampling the fish population. So it's a complete inverse of how federal fisheries management versus state, and we need much more reliable data. 3 months of lag in between the first day of people catching fish and when that information goes into the data.
The app you referenced allows for, at least my superficial understanding of it, at least within that contest tournament, to upload biological data. So 2 things. 1, how is that information shared? Is it through that app, or is there a better app to use? And then 2, I have to imagine with AI being what it is, and I think I heard this morning, like ChatGPT is in its 4th edition, and the stuff is just fast speed, crazy, updating itself. And I before long, it's going to be the Terminator, and it's just constantly learning. But I had to think that technology would allow for, point and click your camera. It'll know the species. It could tell you the girth, the weight, the size, just all by a picture, and fast track that to whoever needs it.
Yeah, no, I think, and that's what I said earlier, is I think the future is really bright for being able to use electronic reporting and get instantaneous information. Now, we still have to know how many fish we have to have an estimate of how many fish are out there to be caught in order to make sure we only catch a certain percentage of those and don't impact the population. But in order to do that, again, to be able to get that estimate of how many's out there, we have to know how many are being caught. And right now, we don't have a good handle. So, I mean, just be honest with you, the old saying for somebody that has modeled fish populations before is, and you want to get the most accurate information you can going in, because it's really is, if you put junk in, you get junk out. So you have no confidence in it, where we can do anything to really tighten up those estimates and get to the point that we feel really confident in the data going in, then we can be a little bit more. Although I'll always have to put in a plug for, we need more fishery independent data. We need to know what the population, we need to sample that population in the water, not just depend on. Yes, AI is going to open a huge door. I mean, right now, the High Angler Tournament app is really more for tournament organizers, especially folks that want to do just catch and release type tournaments where you have a measuring board for that particular day. You fish on the board, and depending on if it's total length or fork length, you get a measurement showing the fish's nose on the zero, and then the total length. Take a picture of it. You actually manually enter that in, and then it submits that to the tournament director, which yesterday was my case. So I'm looking at these landings coming in, and I look at the picture and I verify that yes, that was 21 1/4 inches or 22 1/2 inches, and then I'll verify it, and it creates a leaderboard so that before the last boat even got to the dock, I knew who the winners were, first, second, and third. So it's just really convenient, especially for catch and release tournaments like kayak tournaments or something like that. So it's a really neat app, and it's very, very simple to use and learn.
Easy's good, especially when your hands are full with tackle and fish and on the water. So, and getting them back
Oh,
in the
yes.
water too. I guess that's the other component to it, right?
Right. That's exactly it. I mean, chances of a fish surviving post-release is usually really, really good, for most species, unless you keep them out of the water too long. So that's ideally you want to have wet hands. You want your measuring board to be wet. Quickly get a measurement and a picture of that fish and get it right back in the water, and it should fare very well after release.
Do you, and maybe this is a topic for a totally another show that we can dive deeper, but I just wonder, do you see a time where the states, in cooperation with federal agencies and the state agencies, work together to mandate some sort of reporting? And I know that mandate is always a scary word, and big government and things like that, but to get a handle on, or some, I don't want to say forced, but forced reporting, like treating it like other game species, like, I don't know another way to say it. I mean, it sounds bad, but like I don't think that's a hard sell to our community. Like, hey, we're trying to get a handle on this. If you, again, striped bass, if you're tired of this 28 to 31 inch slot up and down the East Coast and only catching one fish, well, it's going to take everyone's cooperation to give that biological data, so we have a better handle on this, so we can either open that up or know how in crisis this particular species is, and we can do something about it.
Actually, that is a great topic for an entire another episode,
Excellent.
because in reality, something along those lines, a different recreational angling reporting system than what we are currently relying on with the Federal Marine Recreational Information Program, or NRIP, as it's called. That's the whole reason that we went from a 3-day red snapper season in the Gulf of Mexico in 2017 to we'll have close to, if not over 100 days in nearly all 5 Gulf states this year, and with roughly the same amount. And again, it goes to the accuracy of being able to make sure that we're staying on top of our landings in real time. And it's been very, very successful there. And yeah, that's a whole nother topic that we would like to see more states transition that way, that currently rely on NRIP for highly popular recreational species like red snapper, like grouper, like cobia even, at some point in the future, because we think we'll be able to manage more efficiently, certainly more efficiently than what we're doing now under NRIP system. Yes, that's a topic that we can spend 45 minutes to an hour on easily.
Well, we'll book it. That sounds good. And again, I think it's more of a, that more right? The more getting that out to our community and say, hey, this could really help in
Right.
all facets of what we're trying to do here. Diagnose the problem, or confirm that we don't have a problem and things are actually trending well, but it needs everyone's participation. So yeah, so I'll make a note of that, and we will we'll dive into that. That's really interesting stuff.
Well, sounds great. Look forward to it.
Yeah, for sure. Any parting thoughts? This definitely went a little longer than I'm used to, but it's all good information, and certainly the folks enjoy when they get to hear from Chris Horton on this program. Anything you want to tie up with the competition?
No, it's just, again, it was a great event. I can't wait to do this again next year. And yeah, just I hope everybody has a great spring and summer and get out on the water. Spend some time fishing.
All right.
Check out iAngler Tournament app, because there's
Yeah.
a number of national tournaments going on that anybody could enter. So there's
Okay.
probably a tournament that's open to anybody. So if you're just out weekend fishing with your kids, there's probably a tournament y'all could enter for fun.
Cool. Sounds good. Thanks so much.
Take care.
All right. Thanks again to Chris Horton for coming on and giving us that good rundown of the fishing competition and more. That was great. Actually, looking forward to bringing that next show to life. And Chris is just so smart and a wealth of knowledge with that stuff. It's always good to have him on and break some stuff down for us. So with that, let's go around the country, bringing the good news and the not so good news. Starting with the not so good news over there in California. This is brought to us by Barry Snell. On May 7th, the California Department of Fish and Wildlife issued a news bulletin stating that the first confirmed case of chronic wasting disease, CWD, in California was discovered after samples collected from 2 deer were tested. The first deer was found in Madera County near Yosemite Lakes, and another in Inyo County near Bishop. California Department of Fish and Wildlife has been monitoring California elk and deer populations for CWD through lymph node sampling and testing since 2000, testing over 6,500 deer and elk, and has been working to increase surveillance efforts with the help of hunters, taxidermists, and meat processors since 2018. The disease is spread from cervid to cervid through direct contact or contact with saliva, feces, or carcass parts from an infected animal. This is a bummer. I think if you're a deer hunter, elk hunter, if you've been in the hunting space, golly days, for more than a couple of years, you've heard of CWD, may not know exactly what it is, but know it's a bad thing. And this now makes 34 states where CWD has been detected. And now, what you have, I think a lot of states have set up restrictions of bringing full carcasses in. They want you to bone a lot of it out, and it becomes quite a process. Well, this is just certainly going to add to it, and it's tough, man. It's tough for, obviously, the animals going through this. It's a fatal neurological disease. There's no coming back from it. It affects the brain. It's a progressive damage that leads to death. It's just there's nothing good about any of this. And then obviously the end user, the hunter. Some people, I don't think I'd eat that meat. I know there's some lines I thought you can have your meat tested if it comes back positive. Some people say you can eat it. I think a lot of people probably ought not to. I know there's different testing stations in different states where they have processes set up, but yeah, this is a bad thing. And I've heard of some technology that's coming about for more aggressive and rapid testing. I think right now, as far as rapid goes, is maybe 2 weeks. Someone will correct me on that, I'm sure. I'm certainly not a CWD pro on this. Is stuff I've understood and talked to other people in the space. There is talk of rapid testing, almost immediate testing, trying to be developed. I'm not sure how close they are. We may be putting a show together on this very topic here in the near future, with this announcement in California. But people from all persuasions in the hunting space, as it concerns deer and other cervids, are working to try to solve this problem, or at least mitigate the spread of it. It would be devastating to have this go across the entirety of the North American continent. That would just be awful. So yeah, not great news there in California. Sorry to hear it. Let's move to some happier news. Let's go all the way across the country to New Hampshire, where I currently sit, and some good news. House Bill 1186, an act relative to firearm purchasers' privacy, has passed both chambers here in Concord, New Hampshire, which is great. So the short and sweet of it is, it was a proactive bill to prevent the merchant coding that would track and can be used discriminatively against folks shopping at their favorite outdoor sporting goods store, buying firearms and ammunition, So in short, like I said, this is done, and we're hoping that and waiting for, and I don't see why it wouldn't happen, but our Governor Sportsman's Caucus chair, Governor Chris Sununu, to put his signature on it and make it law here in the Granite State. Been quite a few of these bills, proactive bills, good bills coming up throughout the country. They're all also 180 degrees the other way. New York went the other way, and they are trying to institute merchant coding. So, some of the more aggressively anti-Second Amendment states are going to do just that. It's nice to see more independent states and more traditional states, being proactive and having legislators sponsor and co-sponsor these bills and get those protections in to prevent that would-be discrimination and in the reporting and no one needs to know what you're buying, really. I mean, honestly, so it boils down to it. So good bill here when Governor Sununu eventually signs that, which we expect he will. We'll bring that back to you and report on that. Heading down to the Hill area, Hillish. CSF celebrates the effectiveness of the CSC with some healthy competition at the annual Congressional Clays event. I was at this event. We have some sound coming from that you will hear tomorrow. Congressional Clay recap. Great day. Had a lot of shooters out there, a lot of partners of CSF, quite a few legislators, part of our Congressional Sportsmen's Caucus. Despite some less than stellar weather, spirits were high. Everyone was happy, and folks stayed out on the course and had a good time. So I can report, let's see here, some awards that were there. Top Gun member of Congress went to Representative John Rutherford out of Florida. The Top Gun on the Democrat side, Representative Mike Thompson of California. Top Gun in the Republican side, Representative Jeff Duncan out of South Carolina. Some other Top Gun awards that were given out. The Top Gun, Chuck Richardson, Top Gun Beginner, Sarah Jorgensen, or Jorgensen, I guess, depending on where you're from. Top Gun Ladies category, Pamela Mera. Top Skeet, Robert Crow. Top Trap, Forrest Wilson. And Top Sporting Clays, Marshall Conrad. So obviously a big thanks to everyone that showed up and members that show up. Many of them had to get right out and go tend to the people's business and vote. But we're going to bring you sound from some partners from Boone and Crockett, NSSF, RETAY. You'll hear from Congressman Westerman, Congressman Graves, and Congressman Panetta. All that drops tomorrow on our feature presentation, the Clays wrap up there. Down the coast to North Carolina, CSF supports land conservation legislation. Last year, North Carolina Legislative Sportsmen's Caucus member Representative Stephen Ross, along with former caucus co-chair Representative John Bell, current caucus co-chair Representative Michael Ray, and caucus member Jimmy Dixon, introduced legislation to support land conservation efforts in the state. As part of the 2-year session, House Bill 290, the Protect North Carolina's Military and Working Lands Act, is still up for consideration before the General Assembly. The act would offer state income tax credits to landowners who donate interests in real property for conservation purposes. 290 would allow for up to 25% sales tax credit of the fair market value of the donated property of interest for the following purposes: farmland preservation, fish and wildlife conservation, floodplain protection, historic landscape conservation, public trail access, and buffers for military installations. Prior to sunsetting in 2013, a previous version of this state income tax program led to a 20% increase in overall land donations and is credited with protecting 250,000 acres in North Carolina. Other southeastern states like Georgia, South Carolina, and Virginia have similar acts in place that have been successful in conserving private lands. Good deal. Let's get that one. Over. Hopefully, where you can set aside good tracts of land. That's a great thing. That was brought to us by Connor Barker. Finally, not so great news. So we're going to end it not so. There's always hope. Go to Illinois. This is Bob Matthews reporting that piece of legislation that would have prohibited Illinois hunters from organizing and participating in fur bear hunting tournaments. It had missed its deadline, so all intents and purposes was dead. Has been revived by a special rules committee vote. CSF immediately strategized with the Illinois Legislative Sportsmen's Caucus to encourage members to oppose the bill's passage. The House voted 62-45 in favor of the bill, advancing it to the Senate, where CSF will continue to oppose the passage. As we said, despite the successful early efforts that contributed to this is Illinois House Bill 2900 missing its initial deadline to advance from the House, Special Rules Committee vote was held almost a month later to extend the deadline. Important to know about the competitions. They often get bad press and a lot of bad information on them. So what to know? Hunters participating in these tournaments are required to abide by the same state regulations. Got to have a license like everyone else. Regulations around wanton waste. They're not precluded from any laws. They're not just out there, whacking and stacking, right? So there's participation. There's whatever the incentives are locally, but that's more license sales. That's more biological data getting back to the state agency. Ultimately, there's more contributions to our American system of conservation funding, as we've well covered on this program. User pay public benefits, and that's all in the back of a very small population for the benefit of many. So, clear up some of the bad press that these events, these organized hunts get, and you're still up against Mother Nature and wild things. So it's not like folks are out there, like I said, just stacking coyotes like cordwood. You're still hunting. You're still abiding by all the same rules and regulations as anyone else out there on the landscape doing it, and contributing back into the system as well in many ways. So hopefully Bob and his partners in the state can thwart any more advancement of this legislation. Longer episode this week, but I think the information is worthy, and I hope you enjoyed it. Again, thank you to Chris Horton for his breakdown and just bonus content from Fisheries. It's always good to have that on there and get a better understanding, because it is so multi-leveled, and it is from state to state or from watershed to watershed. There's just so much information. It's hard to keep up with. So when you have an opportunity to talk with someone as well versed in this stuff as Chris is, it's good to take advantage. So thanks for hanging in there. Thanks as always for our contributors, to our SBT members who contribute their writings each week and cover their respective regions and bring those top stories to us here that I can report on, and to all of you. Be sure to like, subscribe, and rate. Take this show to your social feeds. It'd be great if you did. Share it around with friends. This is the latest and greatest news of the last week of conservation news that's going on around the country. We bring that to you every single Wednesday. Don't forget to check out our hook and bullet section of the EPUB. Again, all these stories can be found in print. All you have to do is go to congressionalsportsman.org. Sign up today for your free Sportsman's Voice EPUB. There again, you'll find all the hook and bullet stories we link to from around the nation. Stuff that didn't maybe make it into our writings, but still significant and relevant to the bigger conversation, things happening around the country. Again, tomorrow is a feature presentation, the Congressional Sporting Clay's wrap-up. bring you the sound, like I said, from those guests earlier, and give a little bit more reporting on the event. And it was a whole lot of fun. So lighthearted event to bring to you for this week. So don't forget to tune into that. And as always, Congressional Sportsmen Foundation is your inside connection to outdoor legislation. Until next Wednesday, everybody be safe, be good, and we'll see you later. So long. Thanks for joining us on this edition of the Sportsman's Voice podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, your support is crucial, and you can help us out right now by leaving a review, filling in those 5 stars where available, sharing this episode with friends and family, and engaging with us socially. CSF can be found on Facebook, Instagram, and X, formerly known as Twitter. Together, we can protect the outdoor sports we love and continue to keep you informed wherever you are. That's it for this week. Until next time, we'll see you later.